Tampa car dealership abruptly closed its doors today, leaving already frustrated customers wondering what to do next.
You won't believe how many people are still buying these cars. Right before they fall apart, they look like smart deals on the lot. Good mileage, decent price, trusted badge. But behind the sales pitch, catastrophic failure rates, collapsing resale values, and repair bills that blindside even experienced drivers. Why are these brands still on the road? How did they go from trusted to toxic? And who's really paying the price for their collapse? Because by the end of this video, you'll realize buying the wrong car isn't just a mistake, it's a trap. Fiat, the joke that costs too much. It was supposed to be a fun, stylish comeback. Fiat re-entered the United States market with cheeky ads, retro flair, and promises of European personality at an affordable price. The 500 and 500L models were marketed as compact urban cruisers, easy to park, fuel efficient, and just different enough to stand out in a sea of look-alike sedans and sport utility vehicles. For a moment, it seemed to work. Buyers drawn to the Italian badge and cute design lined up to test drive what looked like an affordable alternative to the bland options from mainstream brands. But what they drove home wasn't style. It was a time bomb on wheels. The Fiat 500L in particular became a rolling disaster. Quirky on the outside and clunky on the inside, the vehicle was plagued by design flaws that undermined the entire ownership experience. Engine stalling was a common and terrifying issue. Owners reported engines shutting down at stoplights and intersections, forcing repeated ignition attempts just to restart the vehicle. The dual-clutch transmission, initially praised for its theoretical efficiency, turned into a source of daily frustration. It slipped, it jerked, it lagged, and it failed at the worst possible times. Safety was another major red flag. Recalls came frequently. Airbags that failed to deploy, suspension systems that could not handle routine potholes, and even fuel system defects that posed fire risks, all made the 500L one of the most problem-ridden vehicles in its segment. And the problems didn't end with mechanical systems. The interior was filled with low-quality plastics, substandard seat materials, and poorly fitted panels that creaked and rattled with every bump in the road. Even small issues like power window failures and headliners sagging became common talking points on owner forums. Fiat's biggest failure, however, might have been its lack of support. Dealerships were sparse, parts were difficult to source, and service departments were often ill-equipped to deal with the brand's unique quirks. What should have been a quick repair often turned into a multi-week ordeal. Customers found themselves waiting for basic parts to be shipped from Europe, and labor costs mounted quickly. Fiat's customer service, in many cases, made matters worse, slow to respond, dismissive of complaints, and unwilling to offer goodwill coverage for vehicles that failed just outside of warranty. And then came the financial punchline: depreciation. The Fiat 500 and 500L models lost value faster than nearly any other vehicle on the road. Some owners reported losing more than 50% of the vehicle's value within the first 2 years of ownership. By year 3, the resale price was often less than what a major repair would cost. For a car that tried to sell itself on style, the numbers told a different story. A brand so poorly received that buyers were willing to take major financial losses just to escape. And yet Fiat wasn't the only European brand that sold dreams and delivered disappointment. Mitsubishi, the mirage of reliability. Its cars were known for durability, innovation, and mechanical integrity. The brand gave the world legends like the Lancer Evolution, the Montero, and the Eclipse. It was a badge people respected, associated with both adventure and performance. But today, those glory days are gone. In the modern market, Mitsubishi has become a shadow of itself, and nowhere is that fall more apparent than in the Mirage. What was supposed to be a practical, ultra-affordable, subcompact hatchback has instead become a rolling symbol of everything wrong with cutting corners. The Mirage appeals at first glance. It's one of the cheapest new cars money can buy. It offers high fuel economy, low insurance premiums, and a small footprint perfect for tight city streets. On paper, it makes sense for students, budget buyers, and anyone just trying to get from point A to point B. But in practice, it feels like a machine that was never finished. The engine, a tiny 1.2-liter 3-cylinder, struggles from the moment you start it. At idle, it vibrates so aggressively that passengers think something is broken. Acceleration is laughably sluggish, and highway merging is borderline dangerous. Inside, things only get worse. The cabin is filled with the cheapest plastics available in the industry. Panels flex under light pressure. Door handles feel brittle, and the upholstery begins to fray within a few summers of regular use. The seats are thin, unsupportive, and uncomfortable on anything longer than a 15-minute commute. Road noise floods the interior, making phone calls or music a challenge at speeds above 40 miles per hour. This is not a car you grow into. It is one you try to survive until the lease ends. Then come the reliability concerns, the very thing that was supposed to be Mitsubishi's strong suit. Owners report early failures in critical systems, airbag sensors, engine control modules, and door latches have all been subject to recalls and complaints. Some owners find their cars refusing to start, while others deal with sensors misfiring or failing entirely. The Mirage is not just basic, it is brittle. Even though annual maintenance costs are technically low, they are rendered meaningless when repair frequency is so high. A car that needs work every few months, no matter how cheap the fix, becomes a drain on time, trust, and wallet. Crash test scores are equally damning. In several major impact tests, rear passenger safety was rated as poor. For a car marketed to first-time drivers, commuters, and small families, that is unacceptable. The Mirage does not inspire confidence in daily use. It barely clears the bar for what a modern car should be. And while some buyers are drawn to its rock-bottom pricing, many come to regret the decision within the first year of ownership. But at least Mitsubishi was cheap. The next brand charges luxury prices for economy-level pain. Now that you know which cars you should stay away from, it's time to take action. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss a breakdown on bad investments like these. We do the research, so you don't have to. Jaguar. Prestige meets panic. At first glance, Jaguar delivers everything a luxury buyer craves. The vehicles have presence, sleek silhouettes, signature lighting, and a badge with pedigree. The F-Pace sport utility vehicle, in particular, made headlines when it launched for combining high-performance handling with the utility of an elevated ride height. The XE, a compact executive sedan, offered a supposedly more affordable route into Jaguar ownership. Both were marketed as the perfect marriage of sophistication and speed. They offered elegant interiors, draped in leather, crisp digital gauges, and that all-important British charm. But underneath that polished veneer lurks a darker reality. For buyers drawn to Jaguar's image, ownership often becomes a full-time job. The F-Pace models built between 2016 and 2020, for example, are infamous for electronic breakdowns. Owners reported frozen infotainment screens during navigation, climate control systems locked in heat mode during summer, and keyless entry systems that failed without warning. The XE suffers similar malfunctions, along with problems involving door latches and sensor errors. Glue has been known to seep from the steering wheel, revealing how even cosmetic components age poorly. In both vehicles, electronic gremlins are not the exception. They are the norm. Mechanically, things only get worse. Engine oil leaks, misfiring ignition coils, and premature water pump failures are common. Timing chain issues can surface even under 60,000 miles. Transmission problems arise early, with rough gear changes, hesitation, and in some cases, total failure before warranty expiration. For some owners, the joy of driving quickly fades into a cycle of dealership visits, each more expensive than the last. Jaguar repair bills over a 5-year period routinely exceed $13,000, and that figure excludes standard maintenance like tires, brakes, and oil changes. One of the most frustrating aspects of Jaguar ownership is the inconsistency in service experience. Wait times for parts stretch into weeks, and misdiagnosed issues lead to multiple returns. Even for minor repairs, some owners report delays due to a shortage of qualified technicians or outdated diagnostic software. The end result is a brand that punishes its most loyal drivers. The prestige of driving a Jaguar dissolves under the weight of constant uncertainty. Will the engine lights stay off this week? Will the navigation system reboot mid-drive again? These are the questions no luxury car buyer should have to ask. Resale value compounds the problem. According to industry reports, Jaguar models experience among the steepest depreciation curves in the luxury segment. Within just 3 years, an F-Pace or XE can lose over half its original value. By the time the warranty expires, many owners find themselves trapped, unable to sell for a fair price, and unwilling to keep pouring money into unreliable machines. The gap between promise and reality has never been wider. And if Jaguar makes you sweat, wait until you meet the luxury sport utility vehicle that makes even seasoned mechanics break into a cold sweat. Land Rover, the most expensive gamble on the road. Land Rover sells a dream, a rugged, go-anywhere luxury experience wrapped in unmistakable British design. The Discovery and Range Rover lines represent status symbols for adventurers, vehicles that suggest both prestige and power, parked outside mansions or climbing mountain trails, with air suspension systems for ride comfort, terrain response modes for off-road confidence, and cabins finished in high-grade materials. Land Rover appears to offer the best of both worlds. But beneath the leather and lacquer lies one of the most frustrating ownership experiences on the road today. Owners of Discovery models from 2017 through 2020 began reporting suspension failure within the first few years. The vehicle would lean to one side, sit too low, or enter a fault mode that rendered it undrivable. These problems stem from the air ride system, a key selling point that quickly became a source of stress. Repairs are expensive, typically over $4,000, and often fail to resolve the issue permanently. Meanwhile, Range Rover owners face a different flavor of mechanical chaos, from transfer case seizures and differential problems to random powertrain jerks and clunks during acceleration. Electronic systems are equally troublesome. The infotainment suite frequently freezes, resets itself, or lags to the point of unusability. Climate controls behave unpredictably, and keyless entry often stops working altogether. In some cases, dashboard screens go black while driving, and backup cameras fail mid-reverse. These aren't isolated complaints. They're documented across thousands of service records, online forums, and consumer advocacy sites. Even basic tasks like adjusting the temperature or navigating city streets become tests of patience. Water intrusion is another recurring nightmare. Several Discovery and Range Rover models are known to suffer from roof leaks, pooled water in the trunk, and moisture behind dashboard panels. These leaks lead to rust, foul odors, and in many cases, the corrosion of electrical wiring. The result? Malfunctions that spread like rot, impacting sensors, lights, and essential vehicle systems. And because water damage often voids warranty coverage, owners are left footing the bill for something they didn't cause. The financial cost of ownership is staggering. Annual maintenance and repairs for many Land Rover models easily surpass $10,000 outside of warranty. And as these problems pile up, resale value collapses. Within 3 years, many of these vehicles lose more than 50% of their original value. That makes upgrading or escaping the brand financially painful, especially for buyers who assumed a six-figure purchase came with peace of mind. Instead, it comes with a mechanic on speed dial. But if you thought bad engineering only lived in the luxury world, the next brand proves even cheap cars can ruin your wallet and your patience. Dodge. All power, no peace. The design is bold, muscular, and unapologetically aggressive. Exactly what many American families want in a mid-size sport utility vehicle. The Durango, in particular, boasts powerful engine options that include a V6 and a roaring V8, making it one of the fastest family haulers in its class. 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. That is the kind of performance that turns heads and sells dreams. On paper, Dodge offers power, presence, and practicality in one sharply designed package. But the story changes the moment those tires hit real-world pavement. The mechanical strength that Dodge advertises often falls apart under everyday stress. Transmission failures have become one of the most commonly reported issues in both the Durango and the Journey, especially in model years between 2015 and 2020. Owners report hard shifting, gear hunting, and complete failure long before the odometer hits 100,000 miles. Replacing these transmissions costs between $4,000 and $7,000, depending on the drivetrain and region, and that is only the beginning. Cooling system failures, exhaust manifold cracks, and powertrain vibrations plague these vehicles, sometimes causing check engine lights to trigger within the first few months of ownership. Step inside, and the problems continue. Despite high price tags, especially on fully loaded Durango trims that climb beyond $50,000, the cabin is dominated by hard plastics, inconsistent panel fitment, and aging infotainment systems that feel several model years behind. For a vehicle marketed as premium muscle, the interior feels surprisingly unfinished. Touchscreens freeze, Bluetooth connectivity fails, and rear cameras glitch or fade entirely. Climate control systems frequently malfunction, and many owners report needing multiple dealer visits just to fix basic electronic features. Fuel economy is another silent killer. The Durango's real-world consumption often hovers around 15 miles per gallon, which can drain a household budget quickly, especially when gas prices climb. For a family vehicle, that kind of thirst becomes a financial burden, and while performance might justify poor mileage in a sports car, it is a harder pill to swallow in a vehicle designed for carpools, groceries, and road trips. Safety scores are nothing to celebrate either. While the Durango and Journey meet minimum crash test standards, they often rank below average in frontal crash performance and rollover protection. Worse still, many driver assistance features, such as blind spot monitoring, adaptive cruise control, and automatic emergency braking, are either missing entirely or locked behind expensive add-on packages. This forces buyers to pay thousands more just to reach basic safety parity with other brands. As Dodge leans into its branding of raw, unfiltered power, it has failed to modernize the durability, comfort, and efficiency efficiency that today's buyers expect. Suspension components wear out prematurely, leading to clunky, unstable rides. Brake rotors warp easily, and even the aggressive exhaust note becomes a constant reminder that noise does not equal quality. And if Dodge feels outdated, the next brand feels like it never updated at all. Buick, the car your grandma regretted. For years, Buick was considered the comfortable middle ground between economy and luxury. Quiet cabins, soft rides, and that understated premium feel made it a favorite among older drivers and loyal General Motors fans. The Encore, a compact sport utility vehicle introduced in the early 2010s, was designed to modernize Buick's image. Small, stylish, and seemingly perfect for city driving. It promised fuel efficiency, compact maneuverability, and a smooth, refined ride. For many buyers, it looked like a smart, unassuming choice. But once the keys were handed over, the Encore's charm quickly began to unravel. The biggest issue with the Encore is its inconsistency. Built with a turbocharged 1.4-liter four-cylinder engine, the Encore struggles to deliver any real performance. Acceleration is sluggish, especially on inclines or during highway merges. The 6-speed automatic transmission often lags, hesitates, or shifts harshly, making every drive feel unpredictable. Owners report a lack of responsiveness that makes the vehicle feel underpowered and sometimes unsafe in high-speed environments. Beyond the driving experience, mechanical reliability is a constant concern. Model years from 2015 onward have been plagued by recurring issues, including oil leaks, turbocharger failures, and sudden power loss. The electrical system is also notoriously fragile. Dashboards flash random errors, infotainment screens freeze or fail entirely, rear-view cameras cut in and out, and Bluetooth connectivity rarely holds up under normal use. Climate control glitches are common, sometimes blasting hot air on the coldest days and vice versa. Safety is no sanctuary either. The Encore has received average at best ratings in crash tests, and rear passenger protection scores remain troublingly low. Airbag recalls, seatbelt tension failures, and sensor errors have all put this vehicle under scrutiny. In fact, several National Highway Traffic Safety Administration bulletins have cited recurring safety concerns tied directly to core vehicle systems, not just trim-level options or accessories. The cabin, while quiet at lower speeds, begins to reveal its flaws over time. Materials feel budget-grade, door handles and switchgear wear out prematurely, the upholstery frays quickly, especially in warmer climates where sun damage is common. Headliners sag, stitching loosens. Even the modest cargo space, once considered a perk, cannot outweigh the number of times owners find themselves back at the dealership. Cost of ownership becomes another sore point. While maintenance expenses initially appear low, often under $500 per year, this figure quickly rises when you factor in frequent repairs, software updates, and replacement parts. Worse still, dealerships often carry limited stock for Encore-specific components, causing wait times to stretch into weeks. The Encore's resale value is among the worst in its class, dropping sharply within the first 2 years of ownership. Speaking of regret, the next brand entered the electric future and slammed into a wall of reality. Rivian, the $40,000 fender bender. With instant torque from its fully electric powertrain, it can hit 60 miles per hour in under 4 seconds, tow up to 11,000 pounds, and boasts a quad motor system that gives it true off-road credibility. It even features a gear tunnel for extra storage, a built-in camp kitchen, and one of the most spacious frunks in the electric market. To tech-savvy buyers and environmental pioneers, Rivian promised the perfect marriage of rugged utility and cutting-edge sustainability. That promise, however, has turned into one of the most cautionary tales in the automotive world. While the Rivian R1T dazzled during its debut, owners quickly discovered a darker side of its futuristic design. One of the most shocking revelations? A low-speed fender bender can result in a repair bill exceeding $40,000. This is not an exaggeration. It has happened repeatedly across the United States. The reason lies in Rivian's structural design. Body panels are integrated with the chassis and critical components. That means even minor impacts can require complete disassembly of systems that most shops are not equipped to handle. And because the battery pack sits directly under the cabin, any frame distortion can put the entire powertrain at risk. Traditional collision centers are often unable or unwilling to take Rivians in, not because of the technology itself, but due to the proprietary repair processes, parts scarcity, and the brand's limited certification network. Even when Rivian service centers are available, the wait time for parts or diagnostics can stretch into weeks or even months. Owners have reported waiting up to 90 days for basic body panels, headlights, or sensor replacements. In one widely circulated case, a cracked tail light resulted in a full disassembly of the rear quarter panel, with a final quote exceeding $38,000 before taxes. But cosmetic damage is just the beginning. Software instability has become one of the most frequent complaints among R1T owners. Infotainment freezes, navigation glitches, false alerts, and sensor errors frequently plague daily driving. Rivian vehicles operate with an over-the-air update system similar to Tesla, but instead of confidence, these updates often bring bugs that were not present before. Some updates have disabled climate controls, others have caused loss of camera functions, or even spontaneous system restarts while driving. Then there's the issue of resale. Early excitement drove prices high on the used market, but that hype has collapsed. Buyers now view Rivian as a risky asset. Exciting, yes, but unpredictable and potentially expensive to maintain. This has driven down trade-in values dramatically, and with insurance companies hesitant to underwrite full-value repairs on structurally integrated bodies, many Rivians are now being totaled for what would be minor accidents in other trucks. Still, nothing stings like a brand that used to be beloved and turned itself into a warning sign. Nissan, the fall of a giant. There was a time when Nissan meant dependability, efficiency, and value. Models like the Altima and the Frontier earned reputations as hard-working, long-lasting vehicles that families could rely on. The Altima was once neck and neck with the Toyota Camry and the Honda Accord. The Frontier was a no-nonsense truck with real-world capability at an affordable price. For decades, Nissan's appeal was built on doing the basics right: good engines, fair prices, and straightforward ownership. Today, all of that is gone. Nissan's decline did not happen overnight. It was a slow erosion of quality, trust, and purpose. The most infamous example of this collapse is the widespread failure of Nissan's continuously variable transmission. Once marketed as a smooth, fuel-saving innovation, it has become one of the most despised drivetrains in modern automotive history. Drivers of the Altima, Rogue, and Sentra from model years 2012 through 2020 report transmission failures as early as 40,000 miles. These issues include jerking, slipping, stalling, and in many cases, complete powertrain shutdown. The cost to replace the transmission ranges from $3,500 to over $8,000, depending on the model and region. Dealerships, already stretched thin by warranty claims, often do not have the parts available. When they do, owners complain of long delays, poor communication, and temporary fixes that fail again within months. The Altima, once the brand's bread and butter, is now frequently rated near the bottom of customer satisfaction surveys. Camshaft sensors, failing catalytic converters, and faulty intake gaskets round out a long list of reliability issues. And it is not just sedans. The Nissan Frontier has stagnated in both design and performance. The 2018 to 2021 models have been called out for outdated interiors, vague steering, and suspension tuning that leaves the ride feeling harsh and unrefined. For a vehicle that presents itself as a rugged pickup, it fails to deliver the quality or durability of competitors like the Toyota Tacoma or the Ford Ranger. Even Nissan's flagship vehicles are not immune. The Pathfinder, the Maxima, and even the electric Leaf have been caught in waves of recalls, quality control issues, and early degradation. The Leaf in particular, which was supposed to lead the brand into the electric era, suffers from poor range retention, thermal battery issues, and software glitches. What was once a trailblazer is now an afterthought. So what do you think? Did we miss a brand that really deserves to be here? Drop your horror story in the comments and help someone else avoid the same mistake. If this list saved you a few $1,000s or a few years of frustration, subscribe and stick with us for more brutally honest breakdowns.